There is a moment every morning that decides more than people think. It lasts maybe 10 seconds. The alarm goes off, your eyes open, and immediately a negotiation begins. 5 more minutes. You slept late yesterday. You can start tomorrow. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just small, reasonable thoughts. And that is exactly the problem. Failure rarely feels dramatic, it feels reasonable. The truth is simple. Discipline does not fail in big moments. It fails in quiet negotiations with yourself. When the alarm rings, there are only two options. You get up or you negotiate. And the second you negotiate, you introduce doubt into your own structure. Because negotiation means the rule was never real. Real rules do not depend on mood. They do not depend on weather. They do not depend on motivation. The alarm rings, you stand up, no discussion. Most people believe discipline requires motivation. It doesn't. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is structural. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this? Discipline asks, is this what I decided? And once something is decided, emotion becomes irrelevant. That is what most people misunderstand. They think discipline means pushing harder. It doesn't. It means removing internal debate. The more you argue with yourself, the more energy you lose before you even start. Every negotiation drains mental capacity. Every broken promise reduces self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of execution. If you cannot rely on your own word, everything becomes slower. You hesitate, you doubt, you delay. But if your rules are clear, life becomes simpler. Wake up when the alarm rings. Train when it is scheduled. Finish what you started. No negotiation. This is not about intensity. It is about identity. Because every action is a vote. A vote for the person you are becoming. And most people think the big actions matter most. They don't. The invisible ones do. Getting up when nobody sees it. Finishing a task when nobody checks. Holding your standard when nobody would blame you for lowering it. That is where identity is built. Training makes this very obvious. Not because lifting weights is special, but because the mind reacts the same way every time. You start a difficult set. Halfway through, a voice appears. That's enough. Not because the body is finished, because the brain prefers comfort. The brain is designed for efficiency. It avoids unnecessary stress, which is great for survival, but terrible for growth. Growth requires voluntary discomfort, not extreme suffering. Just the ability to continue when stopping would be easier. That ability is trained through non-negotiation. You decide the number of sets. You finish them. You decide the training day. You show up. No debate. The same structure applies outside the gym, in work, in responsibility, in fatherhood. Consistency creates stability, and stability builds trust, especially with the people around you. Children don't experience your motivation. They experience your presence, your reliability, your emotional control. They see patterns, and patterns come from standards. Standards are simply decisions that remain stable over time, not goals. Goals are future-oriented. Standards are present behavior. A goal says, I want to become disciplined. A standard says, I wake up when the alarm rings. Very different. Goals inspire. Standards transform. Because standards remove choice. And removing choice creates consistency. Once something becomes non-negotiable, the mind stops debating it. It simply becomes part of your identity. That is where real confidence comes from. Not from hype, not from motivational speeches, from self-trust. And self-trust is built through kept promises. Small ones, daily ones, quiet ones. Wake up when you said you would. Train when you planned to. Finish what you started. Every time you follow through, you strengthen the relationship with yourself. Every time you don't, you weaken it. That relationship determines how powerful your actions become. Because once you trust yourself, Execution becomes automatic. You don't wait for motivation, you move. And that is the real shift. Stop asking, how do I feel today? Start asking, what did I decide? Because discipline is not about emotional intensity, it is about structural clarity. You don't need more motivation, you need fewer negotiations. The alarm rings, you stand up, the work begins, no discussion. And when you live like that long enough, something interesting happens. Discipline stops feeling like effort. It becomes identity. Quiet, stable, reliable. Not impressive, but powerful. Because once something becomes who you are, you no longer fight yourself every morning. You simply act. And that is the real advantage. Not strength, not motivation, structure. So define your standard, protect it, and stop negotiating with yourself. One day you will realize something simple. Your life is not shaped by your biggest ambitions. It is shaped by your smallest decisions. The alarm in the morning, the extra repetition, the moment where quitting would be easy. That is where your future is decided. Not once, but thousands of times. Most people are waiting for a moment that changes everything. It never comes. What changes everything is what you repeat every day, quietly, without attention, without applause. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop negotiating with the version of you that always wants the easier path. Decide who you are, and then live like that decision is not optional. Because in the end, your standards will shape your character, and your character will shape your life. Discipline doesn't stay in the gym. It spreads. The way you start your morning slowly begins to shape everything else in your life. Because the real value of discipline is not physical strength, it is reliability. The same principle that gets you out of bed when the alarm rings is the principle that keeps you focused at work when things become difficult. It is the same principle that makes you stay calm in conversations instead of reacting emotionally. And it is the same principle that shows up at home, in marriage, in family, in responsibility. Because the people around you don't experience your intentions, they experience your consistency. Your partner doesn't need promises, they need presence. Your family doesn't need motivation speeches, they need stability. Someone who shows up, someone who keeps their word, someone whose actions are predictable, not perfect, but reliable. And reliability is built the same way discipline is built, through small decisions that are repeated long enough that they become part of your character. You do what you said you would do. You finish what you started. You stay present when things become uncomfortable. Not because it feels good, but because it reflects the standard you set for yourself. Over time, those standards begin to shape the entire structure of your life. Your work becomes more focused. Your relationships become more stable. Your mind becomes quieter. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger in how you respond to it. And that is what discipline really gives you. Not control over the world, but control over yourself. And once you have that, everything else in life becomes more stable.